Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I'm your host, Joe Perez, one of several Blizzard watching meteorologically adjacent people from Blizzard Watch. And I've got my stupendous co-host with me today. That chuckle there is from our editor-in-chief, Liz Harper. How are you doing today, Liz?
Howdy, doing pretty good. I would be doing better if the weather were a pleasant 70 degrees outside, but it's not. I just gotta live with that.
And also one of ours that probably feels very similar in terms of I wish it was between 60 and 70 all year round. Phil Ulrich, how you doing, Phil?
Oh man, that'd be nice. I'm doing pretty great actually. The weather had me the rain today had me kind of blah, but the podcast always perks me up.
Oh yeah. Well, friends, you know what also perked me up? This week, we finally have the official release of Midnight. Some of us have been enjoying early access. Those of you that bought the Epic Edition got a few days head start of everybody else, got to experience some of this stuff. Not everything was put into the game, but now officially, as of March 2nd, it's here. It's fully released. Your weeklies are starting to populate. Everything is put into the game that's going to be here from the start. How are you guys feeling about it? What do you love? What do you hate about this so far? Like, I know, Phil, you've been putting in some serious time. I haven't gotten to put as much time as I wanted to, even though I did get Heroic ready right before this podcast, so I'm ready to pop some after the podcast is done. Anything particularly stand out? We'll kick it over to Phil first.
Okay. So I didn't get as much put in as I wanted, but I did take some time off, and I got to put in a couple solid days of questing, which is enough to get me up to 90, get me through some of the post 90 stuff, and yeah, it's been a really fun experience. I really enjoyed the leveling campaign this time. The War Within was good, and it had it's kind of cool, breathtaking moments, like when you first go into Hollowfall and see the giant rock in the ceiling, but like. I really felt that the environments were really varied this time. I really enjoyed the different tones of each of the stories in each of the zones. And as our guild's probably longest subscribed troll stan, I of course was extremely happy to get Zulaman and Harandar, both in the questing experience. They were both really fun in different ways. I really enjoyed. I was telling somebody. I think it was everyone in Discord. There's this moment in Zulima when you first zone in, where you like step over the line into what used to be the entrance to the raid and is now the entrance to the zone in the Midnight version. And the first thing I thought was, oh, that dumb gong is gone. And the second one was the music kicks in, and it's like an interpolation of the old Zulima music, but like modernized and with like new darker elements because of what's happening there at Midnight, and it literally sent chills down my spine. And I was like, yes, this is why I saved this zone for last. I liked some of the character writing. I feel like some characters in this story got a little bit character assassinated in the name of the overarching plot that they're trying to push. Which light not always good, light bad sometimes. But I don't know. Art team has always knocked it out of the park. I once again thought a lot of the smaller stories. It was so. God, I'm just gonna wax nostalgic again because I started playing for real in BC, and the first thing I did was I played an undead character, but then I ran all the way to Eversong and quested in Eversong Woods and the Ghostlands. And it was so wild to be out there and be like, oh yeah, I remember this flying university on Sunstrider Isle from when I was like level 5 in the Burning Crusade, only it was full of wretched back then. And now they've like completely revamped it and I'm beating up like the school bully. Like it was just, and it's just so wild to be like, flying over a place and just have that snap of like, oh yeah, I remember that place. I've seen that place. I remember that from years ago. Let's see what they've done to it. Okay, they've modernized it. The buildings are flying. They look like they're cooler and have like the newer lifestyle and the newer like art style. It's been really cool. And of course, on a more personal level, going through Zulaman has yielded an absolute ton of furniture for my troll themed house.
So much furniture.
So much furniture everywhere.
On that note, I want to know what Liz has been most excited about, and it might have something to do with transmog and furniture, maybe. I might think. I don't know.
I mean, definitely transmog. There's a lot of great looks here. The trading post this month has some great looks in a new mage weave set. 2 new Mage Weave sets in 2 different colors. I'm already kind of done with Tyrellian. I assume he's never going to come back again. That's my hope, that like we had those quests in the early stage with him and then we're just never going to see him again. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't hold on to a lot of hope there, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I actually have not gotten a ton of hours in. I am all of level 82, which is, that's a lot for me. I'm a very easily distracted leveler. But I gotta say, going back to Silvermoon, one of the problems WoW has with its storytelling is that nothing changes. We have, of course, seen some big changes with Cataclysm, but for the most part, you don't see what happens after a quest. You don't say. They have done some great stuff with phasing over the years where you can kind of see things develop over time. But for the big story beats, it's you just, okay, something bad happened, and then we walked away. At Mists of Pandaria. Look at Pandaria. That place was better before we got there. We went there, we wrecked the statue of the Jade Serpent, we wrecked the Veil of Eternal Blossoms, and then we left. Those have never gotten better, and that's just, it's kind of painful to go back to those places. So it's amazing to go back to Silvermoon and see it rebuilt. All of these years later, the elves have put in the work and brought the city back to life. When we first got there, Silvermoon and the entirety of Eversong was still suffering in the wake of the Scourge invasion, still suffering from the wounds that Arthas left on the city and the region. And it's incredible going back there. It's just incredible going back, revisiting Silvermoon, revisiting Eversong. That's incredible. And even though I'm also kind of done with Eretor, I'm also looking forward to, I'm going to finish Eversong, then I'm going to go check out the world alongside Eretor. I think that's going to be another interesting one because it gives us, WoW has been growing and expanding for 20 years. More than 20 years. And that'll give us a reason to go back to these old places that we remember, that we may be nostalgic about, and revisit them, look at them through new eyes and new impressions. So I actually, and I know in The Last Titan, we already know that we're going to go to Northrend again, and I'm very excited about that too, because there are all of these places that are full of memories for a lot of the old-time players like me. I'm just old at this point. That revisiting them and seeing how they've developed is amazing. This is incredible, and I love it. And I just never do the full quest line in the Jade Forest to destroy the statue, and I feel pretty good about that. But the Veil, you can't do anything about that. There's not a quest you can skip there. So yes, I love that we're revisiting old places, though. I've already run into an oddity about this one, which is I race changed character to a blood elf because it just felt good being a blood elf in this expansion. And I turned in a quest, and then I got the heritage armor quest because I'd never done it on this character. And it's like, I'm standing in Silvermoon in front of Lorthamar, and I have this quest that says, take the portal to Orgrimmar so you can take the portal to Silvermoon and talk to Lorthamar. It's like, so changing zones does add, let's say, some layers of complexity, but also, I mean,
you gotta go talk to past Lorthamar. Current Lorthamar doesn't have anything for you.
I have to time travel. I'm actually not sure how to get to Old Silvermoon. Does it have its own portal?
Yeah, it's just downstairs.
Yeah. It's a downstairs.
If you go to Orgrimmar, it's downstairs. I think it's in the same spot, just downstairs.
It's where they put all the old portals in the basement.
Yeah. So, I also still haven't figured out what I'm gonna play in Midnight. Right now I'm leveling a warlock because I have been having fun with it, but I really haven't decided. I was going back and forth between two characters, which may in part be why I have not made a lot of leveling progress. But to efficiently level, you take a character and level them all the way to 90 and then do the next character. It is really leveling already feels slower than it did in the War Within. And it is even slower than that if you level two characters simultaneously, because when you hit 90, you get an XP buff for all of the characters on your warband. And so I'm trying to stay focused, level a character, but I have not made up my mind. So that's fun. That's fun. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's hard because for all my griping about some of the stuff in the beta, they fixed a lot of it, and a lot of the classes, while I will say do feel overly simplified, they are still potentially a lot of fun, and they've created a really good opening experience overall. I will say that I'm with you guys. I really love everything that's happened so far, and I do think that despite this not feeling like an opening to an expansion, this does not feel like an opening to an expansion. That's a hill I will die on. Seeing a redone Silvermoon, but also Sunwell, and seeing the Sunwell Plateau and seeing it all redone, seeing the Magister's Terrace being updated to a modern standard, absolutely phenomenal. See, it's something that I've always complained about is like it's hard in MMOs to have the world feel like it's living. And one of the ways you can show that is by repairing damage or moving the world along, not just having a cataclysm, but having what we just saw with Silvermoon, having the rebuilding of the city. Like when Dalaran was rebuilt for the first time. Oh my goodness. Like that was such a amazing moment. It's like, I remember when we blew up this city. And then like you come back and it's like, oh, now the city's here. And now the city's flying. And now the city's blown up again. Like, but seeing like that change, that evolution was really cool. And then same thing with this. The thing that I think I've loved the most so far, though, is Zul'Aman. And part of it is because the Amani, since the very, very beginning of WoW's story and lore and everything else, they've always been berserkers and sort of like presented as like mindless warriors without having, like, when you get to Zul'Jin, and like you get to that entire history, and like who he was as a troll, and that's presented as the standard of the Amani, right? And then you learn so much more here, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but the zone gives them depth. It gives them character. It explains all of the different tribes that make up the Amani, because the Amani are not a single tribe. There are multiple tribes that support and are part of the Amani Empire. And like seeing Zul'Aman sort of in the current state, and then seeing the potential of what it could be, and having these characters be complicated and have personality and have something that fits in with the rest of the universe is absolutely fantastic, because then they start doing things like challenging player perceptions, which I think is always a good thing, but also challenging NPC perceptions, because there are interactions between key NPCs that are very appropriate storytelling moments that make this expansion feel like alive. And I really enjoy that. And of course, everybody expected me to say something about the story, but like it has made me feel too a little bit stronger. And this is maybe breaching into the thing that I don't like. I'm gonna call out the characterization of Turallion, and then I'll turn it over to you guys after I'm done ranting just a little bit. When we read the Blood Ties novel, you get a very complete, like, I shouldn't say a very complete, you get a more robust characterization of Turallion. You get something that is complicated, and you get to understand reasons for the complications. You get to see some of them moving forward. And they do some of that here a little bit, but they don't do it through Turallion. They do it through Eretor. And while that would normally be fine, Turallion is presented as a warmonger, essentially. And that's not spoilers.
Mhm.
That's literally at the very beginning. It's the opening quest you do.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about civilian life. We must go fight the void. Since when?
Mhm.
When has Trillian ever been written like that? So like stuff like that really ticks me off, where it's like, yeah, he's supposed to be complicated and he's supposed to have issues. Sacrificing innocence is not in the character description for him at any point in any characterization we've ever had for him. So like that irritated me. And whoever made that decision, and I have a sneaking suspicion who it was, made a poor decision in making that the characterization of Trallian. Like it's
It's not. He didn't really even get a chance to be a character. He's there so Eritor can have growth.
yeah, more or less.
There's just this one spot where they animate him at the end of the opening scenario, and he just makes this incredibly stupid face. And I'm like, "Oh, we're doing this with you, huh? You're just a mad guy now, okay?"
But yeah, I mean, is there anything else that's caught you guys out as like maybe suboptimal or something that you don't really enjoy? I will say I do enjoy the amount of housing decor they throw at you just by doing questing.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh
it
yeah,
is-
I love that part.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
The best reason to put up with the follower dungeons, and I will rant about that in a second.
Mm.
There are a lot of dungeons that are in and adjacent to the storyline this time, not just one like they did with Rookery.
All but two of them.
I was gonna say. And the best reason to do them alone is so you can get the decor at the end all by yourself without rolling. I need to talk about the follower dungeons. Last expansion, I did at least one follower dungeon a week because doing a follower dungeon a week was the easiest way to do Beergoth's quest to do a dungeon for a significant amount of rep. And you go in, you take your followers, you breeze through. Yeah, it wasn't as fast as normal players, but whatever, you got through fine. This expansion, holy crap, what did they do to the hunter?
And the
Somewhere
druid. And the druid.
Yeah, and the druid, and to a lesser extent the mage, only because she has to stand still to cast. But like the hunter and the druid both can move while casting, and they seem to know it. But in between the two expansions, they've both been lobotomized. And like Austin Hawksworth will literally spend the entire time like you will start a pull, and he will immediately unload on whatever enemy the tank is not like targeting. And then once the tank gets it off of him, which is fast if it's me and takes 8 years if it's Captain Garrick, like he will then literally just run around jumping and twirling, like he's jumping and turning 360 degrees in the air and not firing a shot everywhere. And I kind of figured out a way to corral him, and I think it's like 90% superstition, 10% mechanics. If I'm tanking, he always wants to run directly away from where I'm facing, so I will pull trash and immediately turn around so that he goes right back the way we came and doesn't bother anything. But like if we get ready to go downstairs, there's one part in Magister's Terrace where there's like these nice little spiral ramps. If you jump down the spiral ramp, all of them get confused and none of them will follow you. So I got to fight a mini boss down there by myself.
I have been abusing that to get to for the same reasons.
That's actually advantageous in that case. I had a moment where I died laughing in that same dungeon though, because for some reason the mage, the hunter, and the druid all competed to stand on top of a candle. There was like a candle in a corner on a table, and they all just like jumped and twirled and stood up. Like the poll's over, and they're all just fighting to stand on top of this candle. And I just watched them, and then I said, "All right, guys, we're going to continue the dungeon now."
Yeah, I want to ask a question because this is something that I thought I remembered last expansion, and maybe this is just confirmation observer bias or whatever. I thought when I did the follower dungeon or tried the follower dungeon last time, they would respond to pings. They don't seem to do that now. Like
they don't respond to pings at all. They used to respond to pings. They also used to, I think they used to respond to being able to set a skull on somebody. And they respond to neither.
Nothing anymore.
There are mobs in certain dungeons that need to be focused down because they're casting a spell until you break their shield. And I'm just like, guys, I can only do so much damage as a Brat Warrior, guys. Can you get spells, arrows, anything at this? Nope, nothing. Okay, cool. I'll just kill it myself. There was a part in Den of Nalarak where you have to hide behind some winds.
Mm-hmm.
And I had pulled one of the ice elementals. And they stood behind a rock, and the ice elemental targeted multiple AoE circles behind that rock, and they just stood there and died. Didn't do any DPS. They just, all four of them just died. And so I just stood there and fought the ice elemental by myself until they decided to release and respawn, which takes about 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's another thing I've noticed has been really slow too. Like I remember that,
so
like
bad.
if they died before, they would almost immediately release when they could and come back. Like they would give you like 30 seconds before they release, but now it's like 5 minutes. Like it is. I'm exaggerating, but it feels Phil was having a fun time as I was going through the new iteration of follower dungeons, and it was literally that meme of stop looking over and going, first time, eh? Like because. Like it is, we have a hunter in our guild that does not know how to stand still. We also have a druid in our guild that does not know how to stand still. I am absolutely convinced they watched our raids to put the new AI in for these models.
Yes, they're like, what if Austin stood as far from you as he could and also never stopped moving? Also,
as a healer, he
my
literally finds everything that can block line of sight to heal him too. And I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah. They don't respond to pings anymore, but my God, the NPCs know where their ping button is. The mage, ping, we should use this. I'm like, I'm the only one channeling this thing, guy. There's a dungeon where you can use Blizzard's favorite new mechanic. Yeah.
And yet, Captain, I pull everything even when I don't have to, is still pinging it like 3 times as you're channeling it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, there's several dungeons where you get Blizzard's favorite mechanic of late where it's everyone has to channel on a thing to open the path through the dungeon. And there's one where it's like we've just completed the left wing and the right wing of this dungeon, and now we all have to channel on this thing to open the bridge to the end. I'm channeling and I'm watching them twitch back and forth in place and twitch back and forth in place. They're not
Austin jump
fighting anything
everywhere.
They're just not moving. And then after 30 seconds, ping, we should use this.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Blizzard lobotomized them, and the bad parties that carried over to Valera.
Valera, I just need them to lower the frequency of her dang voice line.
She's got her eye on you, Joe.
Everybody's like, oh, Brand spotted a bit of gold, became a meme. It wasn't as frequently as this. I got my eye on you. No, not even close.
But I've had her do the same thing the followers do, where she will charge into trash that we are not fighting.
Oh yeah, 100%. But Bran did that too. I just accept that at that point.
I didn't have that issue with Bran, but Bran was a hunter. We expected that from Bran. Valera's a rogue. We're surprised Valera's in the game at all.
Well, I want to give Liz a chance if there's anything else that she would like to rant about. Feel free.
Well, the class simplification is. Yeah, I had been playing a monk for a while, and I've played a monk a lot since they were launched in Mist. But, man, I have that kind of ADHD thing where I cannot be bored. If I am bored, I'm just gonna...
You have to fill the time with something.
I have to have something that actively engages me, or I'm just gonna be the worst player ever. If I am bored while I'm playing, my brain clocks out and I'm not paying attention to anything. It's bad. So I need something that keeps me engaged and interested and requires me to think and do things. A monk was great for that because Windwalker monks are insane and they have their mastery, which requires you to not repeat abilities. You have to constantly cycle through abilities. They had an opener that was like 14 steps. So there was always something to think about when playing a monk. Now, in Midnight, they have been simplified a lot. And there was a hero spec that was a little less simplified, but that got nerfed into the ground at the end of beta before launch. And I'm just like, I have enjoyed this class, but also this is no longer engaging to me. This is no longer, it's like, it's turned into almost one of those like 3-button specs. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as some. And I can't. And now I can't decide what to play. I have no idea what I'm playing in Midnight. I'm at a loss.
It's really a shame that you don't like. It's really a shame you don't like tanking, because I think the tank specs might have received the least simplification out of all of them.
I would agree with that. I think tanks survived. I don't want to say unscathed, but compared to the others,
there's
largely
been like some simplification. But like setting up Prot Warrior, I have the same amount of buttons I had before. I'm down
I-
1, but then I replaced it with shield charge.
Yeah, and like Liz, like I'm not saying that I have ADHD when it comes to like playing the game. I can hyper focus like a mofo. My problem is the lack of buttons. Not because I feel my class is weak. I actually feel like I'm in a really good position. Because thank you, Resto Shaman community. Shout out to any of you that listen to the podcast. Because there was a very concerted effort from the shaman community to sort of submit feedback constantly with numbers and things to back it up. So great job. But the problem that I have is that I physically have less buttons and my muscle memory has a problem. Like I need things to be in specific places because when I'm in the middle of doing something like healing and doing raid mechanics or dungeon mechanics or whatever, I'm not looking at my bars. I'm just pressing where I know a button is that I would normally hit in the situation. Because Healing Surge is gone and is only replaced by Healing Wave, I have an empty spot on my bar. Nothing replaces it. So now I had to put Healing Wave in multiple places on my bar so to stop hitting a dead button. Like it is.
I've done the same thing. I feel you.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I'm not saying like I'm mad about it, like in like I'm like super angry or whatever. It's just surprising because it's something I never really thought of, like the muscle memory portion of it, and how many other players are going through that with their DPS or healing specs. Like it's an interesting adjustment period, and the class pruning, whether you feel it's good or bad, it was inevitable, and I'm curious to see what creeps back in as things go on.
It's like, man, monks lost baseline Zuin. Zuin is like such an iconic thing for monks, and they've given it's now specific to conduit monks, conduit of the celestial spec, hero spec, which is great. It's a good identity for the spec, but it's also now you have, if you aren't that spec, you are really low on cooldowns. There's just not a lot. So yes, I feel like there are a significant number of specs that are just that don't engage me enough to stay interested, and that's a little bit of a problem for me, and that's that led me to this place where I don't know what I'm gonna play in Midnight. I've been leveling a Warlock. I've been leveling a Death Knight a little, except I'm trying to stay.
I saw you on the Death Knight. That was interesting.
Thing. I think it's a fun one. I think narratively, Death Knights are one of the strongest. Like, if you think about them from a narrative story standpoint, I think Death Knights are is the most interesting class in the game.
They also
by
are really
significant margin.
They're also very strong right now. Like they're everything they do is very, like, they're very strong in DPS and tanking right now.
And I'm not jealous about this at all. They're one of the classes that actually get like special NPC dialogue. You know what? Nobody says anything special to during the leveling process. A warrior. I'm a guy with a sword.
Hey, you guy, fella.
Yeah, hey, fellow with the sword. Well, there's even one like. I even saw, like, obviously, I was actually surprised that, like, Shadow Priests get, like, special callouts from NPCs for walking around suffused with the power of the void. Like,
yeah,
there's actually NPCs who are afraid of you. Obviously,
Shaman get
some of it.
Shaman get calls out when they're shapeshifted in Ghost Wolf and Haranar.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's even like a special. I saw a screenshot. I still don't know the context actually, of a demon hunter in a quest where the quest line is basically something like, "I may be blind, but I can see you're about to betray me." Draws weapon. Like, you know what I got to do as a warrior? Hit things.
And be really mad about it.
Yeah, like nobody acknowledged that I'm good with a sword. Mad.
Well, that might change in the future too, especially because we're dealing with, like, the Sons of Lothar are back, and like that's a whole thing, and like they're kind of just dudes. Like,
they're really just dudes. Like, talking to the ones who are when they're hanging out in the Argentina, it's like, yeah, you're just dudes. Like,
they're
Janeth plays the worst practical joke on somebody. It's like, all right, you're just some guys.
And that's another thing I do want to call out that we can move on from this because there's a lot more to talk about with the expansion so far. But like, one of the things I do want to really call out that they've done something that I felt was maybe a little lacking in the War Within is that the world that we're moving through feels like it has personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where like the NPCs feel like they're inhabiting the world, like go and walk through Silvermoon, like you're just saying, like as those different classes, go to the Argentina, like everything feels a little more alive than it has in the past. So like absolute kudos to the design team on like in their vision on this, and this makes me legitimately excited to see what they do with Northrend.
There's also like cool moments where like NPCs will be talking to each other, and it's like, oh, I actually enjoy that they're clearly having conversations off screen that don't involve me for once.
Yeah.
Or like there's actually a couple dialogues in Zul'Aman where two of the characters you're with in the quest text are talking to each other and not you. I was like, yeah, I really like this. This is good.
And I will say, if for those of you at home that are listening to this and are starting your questing through it, I also highly encourage you to stay a while and listen every chance you get.
Oh yeah.
Like we've always encouraged that before for story moments, but like for the feeling of the characters and world, like 10 out of 10. There's so much more of it now in this expansion than I've seen in any other expansion, which I think is great. It's just really neat. And then I also encourage you to just randomly go exploring. I'm not going to tell you where, but I just randomly found a group of Tortolans from, BFA. Literally, they're like, yeah, we travel here. We're teaching, XYZ how to cook. And it's like, that's their entire thing. And they're just like talking to like the other NPCs and like explaining to them how to do things. And it's like this cool little moment. There's tons of that stuff strewn about, which I think is really exciting. But let's talk about a little bit more about what else is coming. So while Midnight is live and there's a lot still coming up, season 1 doesn't actually start yet. While we are recording this on March 3rd, the season 1 doesn't officially start until March 17th. And that's the seasons. We'll see the Mythic Plus journey. Go ahead.
That means I have a little time to figure out what the heck I'm gonna play.
Yes, you do.
A little time.
But yeah, so you have a little time to figure out what you're going to play, and then you'll have Mythic Zeros, I think, open today or the day of the official release. And
with
Mythic,
reset this week.
With reset, so as March 3rd, as of everything resetting. But your Mythic dungeons and the dungeon rotation, the Mythic keys, will be available on March 17th. And then the staggered rollout for the raids, because yes, there are 3 individual separated raids, which I personally could have marked in my I don't care for this category. We'll be releasing out through there. With normal and heroic raid finder will be released on March 17th, which is Void 1 of the Void Spire. Then the normal heroic raid finder for the Dreamriff raid. Then I believe also we'll get Bountiful Delves at the launch of season 1. I believe that's correct if I'm reading our site correctly, because reading comprehension is good, people.
I really
kind of launches at the same time.
I really miss the Bountiful Delves. I
too.
was really enjoying Delves, and obviously Delves are still here. There are a bunch of new Delves in Midnight with our friendly new Delve companion. But yeah, I miss going in and doing those higher level delves and getting really good rewards. Of course, we're lower level. Obviously, you weren't going to get the best reward, but it was just really satisfying to go in and do a bountiful delve, and you open the chest at the end and you get something pretty cool.
Yeah, and I will say that as the season progresses, every week more things will unlock. We don't have to go through the entire list of them until we get to April 7th, where everything will be released, including story mode and raid finder for March on Quell Danas, which is going to bring us home for this particular tier before the next content patch is released. Of the stuff in season 1, is there anything you guys are looking forward to? Liz?
I mean, I'm obviously looking forward to the 3rd and final raid, March of Quell Danas, because that's going to be you don't need to know anything about this. You can just hear the name and this is going to be a big story beat. This is probably the next big story beat in Midnight, where we're going to find out what is happening. We aren't going to learn Xal'atath's endgame, but we're going to be the next step in this story. So I'm very curious as to what that looks like. And I'm just like going back to Eversong. This is going to be, we're going back to the places we've been before and seeing them in new contexts. So I love that we've got a raid here, and I'm really curious about the story implications coming up.
Phil?
Yeah, I'm just always happy for the return of raid content, Mythic Plus content. Delves are fun too, but I really like a lot of that group content. And I will say that right now, Prey is kind of scratching the delve itch for me, and that it's something interesting to do with companions. But I always do bountiful delves each week, even after the stuff wasn't really that important, because it was a good source of like crests and such. But I really like. There's always that like fresh level of excitement of like, when everybody gets back together and a bunch of us are on like fresh mains and doing the raid again. It's very fun. It's before the routine of it all settles in. It's really nice to get that excitement, that fresh new expansion feeling. So yeah, looking forward to all that stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm enjoying some of the newer systems, like I mentioned, Prey, which kind of lets you hunt and be hunted in the open world while you're doing other things. I found it's been a really nice motivation to go out and do world quests that I might not ordinarily feel like doing. It's like, oh, but I could go do it and also get Prey done at the same time. So like, I've enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to the higher difficulties of that unlocking with the new season. I think we get hard now, because I think I saw a guildie get an achievement for it earlier, but I don't think we get Nightmare until the season starts. So that's where it truly gets hard. So looking forward to some of that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this particular mythic pool as well. Like, I think it's really great. Some of my favorite dungeons, with one that I absolutely loathe. I'll take that percentage overall.
There's always one.
There's always one. And maybe, and this is wishful thinking, they'll fix Pit of Saran. Who knows? But
have you been in the Rebate Pit of Saran?
The reiterated one, no.
Yeah, I ran it a couple times on the PTR. It's actually really cool the way they've done it. They managed to keep kind of it's weird. They managed to kind of keep it open, but also streamline it at the same time. There's some of the bosses were revamped to be a little more interesting, I would say. The horrific ice gauntlet before Tyrannus has changed. Tyrannus is completely different, because can you imagine trying to get a pug to hold back their DPS on Tyrannus before they kill themselves from reflected damage under the old mechanics? Me either. So yeah, they changed it quite a bit. It's the weirdest thing that's going to take a lot of getting used to for older players like us who are used to running that dungeon in a specific order is Ick and Crick are now the first boss. You go around to the left. Who goes to the left in Pit of Saran? They looked at that dungeon and went, what if we made everybody go to the side no one goes to? All right, I guess.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going back to Algathar Academy, which was actually one of my favorite mythic dungeons. I just loved running it. So like, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for getting back into raid with everybody. I think that we raided a lot longer than we normally do pre-expansion drop, which was great. We only had a few weeks where we were kind of like left to our own devices, and it felt good compared to some of the previous tiers where it was like, okay, well, everybody's free to do whatever because we've done everything we wanted to, because we were all still having fun, which I think is a credit to their current design philosophy. And I really hope that they stick with that. But even this, like, I'm looking forward to getting into the raids with everybody and seeing what goofy shenanigans we do and how many times I can get a doe killed. And I'm looking forward to seeing the story evolve through that. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah. Part of the strength of World of Warcraft, I think all of us complain about the players being the worst thing about the game. But one of the strengths is that, playing the game isn't just, oh, I'm going to play a video game. It's, oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends. And we're also going to play a video game. So the social connections you have in World of Warcraft matter a lot. And that does make group content such a bigger deal. So when there's new group content that, we've got to get together to do raids. You can't just do it alone, and it's not as satisfying to do in LFR. So that's a real highlight, but it's not. Part of that's the game, and part of that's hey, we have a social group here, and this is my time to hang out with my friends.
Yeah. I want to move along because not that I want to move from that because of that sentiment, but like
there's stuff.
There's so much and we have so little time comparatively. Some reminders for you if you're getting into the game. The Dark Moon Fair is active, I believe, at the time of this recording, but it does not boost midnight reputations. But it is up to give you your first week of expansion boost for leveling and professions, which you should absolutely take advantage of. And I keep forgetting it exists, and I really need to go do that so I can level jewel crafting.
And it's only a few points, but those few points can matter a lot. You pick up the Wii buff on the carousel. You get a 10% experience buff. And usually you would get a 10% reputation buff, which is not there for midnight reputations. Go there, pick up your XP buff, go buy some Dark Moon top hats, which make you look ridiculous, but provide you that same XP buff without having to go all the way back to the fair. So worthwhile.
I also should point out that if you are using Discord, you can also get a Naga battle pet just for playing Midnight. And having Discord open on your computer for 15 minutes at the same time. We have a little thing on the site that you can go and look at how to do that. But honestly, just go to your direct messages in your Discord, look for the quest section. And if you scroll down, you'll see something that says accept quest. And it's a little tiny Naga pet with totally not an Azoth eye in his forehead. Totally not foreshadowing of anything to come in the near future.
No, not at all.
Not suspicious at all.
Not indicative of anything. Please ignore the Naga. It's fine.
But go ahead and enjoy yourself a new battle pet. There's plenty of them, and this is just one to add to that, and they can be your buddy. I do want to point out that there is a new weekly quest that I think is really neat. You can basically throw a house party every week, and you can get rewards, including upgrade crests, which we're going to talk about in a second here. But it's really neat. Just throw a house party. Liz, do you want to talk about that at all, or Phil, either one of you?
I mean, this is one of the few things in player housing that gives you some player power of any kind. But it's another neat little social thing. You don't have to do a lot, even if you aren't into housing, even if you don't care about housing, even if you don't have your own house. The only thing you need to do is go and exist in someone's house with 5 other players, one of whom has to be the homeowner. So it's very easy to do. There are a selection of different rewards you can pick depending on kind of what kind of gameplay you're trying to get. But yes, one of them is upgrade crest, which is going to be great because upgrades are going to take more crests this expansion. That's all I have, though.
We should probably talk then. It helps if I unmute myself. We should probably then move on and talk about the upgrade system itself a little bit, which it is expensive, or at least on paper, but maybe possibly better because
I think it's better.
Yeah, you're not going to need to have crests and valor stones anymore. You just need the crests, which I think one huge buff to just like, because I don't know how many times I've had the crest, but like needed to go and farm like another 100 valor stones to upgrade a piece of gear, which is just absolutely annoying.
Particularly because there was a hard cap on valor stones, which was not that high.
And then I will say that the crest cost going up is at seems like I don't want to say a reasonable rate, but seems like almost a reasonable exchange for what we are losing and having to pay in valor stones. Each track tier upgrade costs 20 Dawn Crests, so it takes 100 Dawn Crests to upgrade an item fully. So if you are in the Adventurer tier, 100 Adventurer Dawn Crests for upgrading an Adventurer track item from 1 to 6, tier 1 to 6. And that 20 crest cost is static. The trade-off is that you are capped at you earning 100 Dawn Crests per week. So any fully upgrading of a piece of gear will take you an entire week. The good news is that they seem to drop from literally everything you do. So getting 100 crests in a week is not necessarily a daunting endeavor. And gear can drop at higher tiers as well when you do content. So you might get, I think I got an Adventurer 4 out of whatever, like 4 out of 6 or 3 out of 6 piece today, right before we started recording. So like I only have to spend 60 to get it up to, the highest tier if I decide to do that, which isn't bad, right? So there's some trade-offs there. But anything to add about that?
Yeah, there's a few little changes here that I think are improvements that may not be immediately obvious. One is you don't have to remember which crest goes to which track anymore because they finally just made the names match. So you upgrade Adventurer gear with Adventurer crests. The other part was previously if you wanted to take advantage of the upgrade system and you wanted to get to the highest level of like if you're getting hero tier gear from raids and you want to upgrade it to the highest tier, you need crests you can't earn from that content. That's not the case anymore. Hero track items will upgrade all the way to their maximum with only hero dawn crests. Same for champions, same for myths, same for all the way up or down the track. So like, it's just really nice to be able to like fully upgrade the gear from the content you're running with the reward you're getting from the content you're running. It's a really nice change. There's also a small gold cost to go with it now that kind of replaces Valor Stones, but what I've noticed is it seems to be very small. I'm only seeing like 50 to 100 gold per tier of upgrade, which is basically nothing considering I think I got 40,000 across the course of leveling 80, 90, and that's without what I got off the auction house from double gathering the whole way up. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've just been kind of iterating on this since they added the upgrade system in Dragonflight, which does it feel to anybody else like this has been with us forever, but we've really only had it for about an expansion and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like they've done some smoothing on this, and it feels really nice. I'm still gonna go ahead and say that when they turn on Turbo Boost, because there are strings that indicate we will get a Turbo Boost like feature later in the patch, probably 12.0.7 like usual. Please make crests transferable between characters because that's when I want to level in gear alts, but all my crests are stuck on my main who doesn't need them anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I think I think this is a nice iteration. Also, we didn't mention this on upgrades, but it does cost 80 crests to make a crafted piece. They are the equivalent of a 5 out of 6 upgraded piece of the same tier. But usually those are the pieces you want to put like your you either want to fill a slot because you can't get a drop or because you want to put a I've blanked on what they're called. Embellishment on them. Yeah, if you want to put an embellishment on them to get a little extra effect. So
yeah. Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, not only can you upgrade your gear, and that's been updated, we should also talk a little bit about Steady Flight, which I'm sure Liz will be very excited about unlocking as soon as she possibly can.
That is true. That is true. I have actually spent a lot of time so far in Midnight. The reason I'm not level 90 doing dragon riding races for transmog. And in Outland. Yeah. There are no new dragon riding races, but the Outland Cup is up this week. We talked about this last week or the week before, that there are some new transmog appearances. So I've been doing those dragon riding races. I'm very bad at them. I'm terrible at dynamic flying because I run into things. I run into trees, I run into the ground, and then you kill all of your momentum and but yes, Blizzard has unlocked dynamic flying from day one. So day one, you can go and fly everywhere super, super fast. Super, super, so very fast. But if you're like me, I'm not very good at that. Trees are my enemy. Yeah, there are a lot of trees. To unlock steady flying, you have to you're exploring all the zones. You're doing the main story quest everywhere. So that takes some time, but it's not impossible. So if you're one of those people like me, very bad at dynamic flying, would prefer to fly a little slower in exchange for more control and precision, all you go in and focus on doing that main story quest. And make sure you're exploring the zones as you go, because it's straightforward to do, but you gotta do it.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, it's not too bad if you just follow the main quest line. If you do nothing else but follow the main quest line, you'll get that part done pretty quickly. And it does actually take you through most of the areas that you'll need to explore, usually leaving like one small corner of the map for each area undiscovered, right? So a quick jaunt through there, and then next thing you know, you have Pathfinder. So not too terrible, but it is something that you should be aware of as you're making your way through the expansion if you really want steady flight. And as somebody who takes a million screenshots every expansion, I want steady flight specifically for that. But yeah, and then last but certainly not least, a little note for you here for friends that are still doing or looking for potentially transmog or items from Dragonflight that you never got your chance to get your hands on. Dragonflight is now officially on legacy loot, but not all of it is soloable. Fights like Diurna, the broodmother with lots of eggs and a really weird layout, even right now, and problematic for even smaller groups, is on that list of bosses that you just can't solo. I am confident that somebody will figure out how to do it.
I think you just are going to have to slam the DPS on that one unless they change the mechanics, because Diurna has that mechanic where you have to keep her apart from the ads.
You can't even slam DPS into her because you have to kill the eggs. So unless they change it where she can die independently of the eggs, which, hey, Blizzard, you should probably make that mechanic change for solo ability. She will not die. Her maximum lowest health is based on the number of eggs she has left.
She will eventually, even if you can't, so I will say, from tanking her in our runs where we were just going for transmog, you can still use the lightning staff to break eggs while you're tanking her.
You can.
The bigger issue is you cannot kill the ads if they're on you. Of course, that was also with the DPS we were putting out 10 levels ago. Now that it's fully legacy content, I'm really hopeful that it will be possible to hatch an egg or wait on Diurna to hatch her eggs, and then burn the ads down, in which case it will be manageable, but miserably slow. No, if I want to look bad enough, I'll take miserably slow. I've soloed Razor Gore enough.
Yeah. But I look forward to if Matt Fossen still plays, I look forward to seeing their endeavor at soloing it. I look forward to those posts.
One thing that is not in, there's legacy loot, which means you get more drops going in as a solo player, but it isn't, you can't queue an LFR yet. Many older expansions let you solo queue for LFR, and that is not in for Dragonflight, at least not that I'm aware. I do not think they added that when they turned on legacy loot. Maybe sometime this expansion we will see that added, which would be nice because you can go in at the lower difficulty and collect those transmog looks in alternate colors, whether this is the only thing you can solo or whether you just want the LFR colorway, which is different.
Yeah. I think that is going to do it for WoW news. We could probably go in a lot more directions, but we are almost out of time completely for today. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, Diablo 4 Season 11 is ending soon. Looks like it ends on March 10th. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then we will be going into Season 12. Diablo 4 does this, I think it's a crazy thing, where it's the season ends and the next season begins, instantaneously on the same day. That's with no downtime. That's just a lot of content to roll out without any downtime or delay. But season 12 is going to be a short one. The timing of these seasons is kind of weird because obviously Diablo is rolling out its next expansion, Lord of Hatred, on April 28th. And we've only got one expansion to go on so far, but when they roll out a new expansion, they also roll out a new season with new seasonal mechanics, so you can jump in and play the expansion with a seasonal character. And that means Season 12 is going to be super short. And it also has one of the least engaging seasonal themes that Diablo 4 has ever had in a season, which is saying something. It is a pretty cool seasonal mechanic, which is kill streaks, because one of the biggest joys of playing Diablo is killing many things very fast, and this rewards you for killing many things very fast. So it has a fun mechanic. It's a pretty lightweight season that's, lasting not much longer than a month. It's a short one. So if you want to get in there and collect your rewards, you're going to have to jump in and rush through it. And then we get the expansion and a new season, which should be interesting. Gonna be interesting.
I'm interested to see what it leads up to, especially pre-expansion, and I am honestly looking forward to the expansion. I think I think it will be interesting at the very least. So we're going to probably be talking about that more in the future, and we're also going to be talking about the new Diablo book that released very soon. So look forward to that. Lore Watch. Just want to plug that now because cross promotion is the key to a healthy ecosystem.
Whoa.
And speaking of, I do want to take a moment to thank our supporters because, again, this site, this website, this community, our podcasts are only made possible due to your generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. That continued support allows us to do this and then do other wacky things like play games and make weird things like leaving notes from the other players because you can't attend a game. We really do appreciate it. And by being a Patreon subscriber, you actually get access to all of our podcasts early. You get an ad-free site experience for our podcast and the queue because you get direct access to the podcast and the website. And then you get preferential treatment when you submit a question to us through any of our particular means of contact. And then
answered.
Good.
You answered a question from a Patreon on Lore Watch this week, didn't you?
We did, I believe. Yes, maybe. There's a lot of questions. We went into tinfoil hat territory, and I apologize if I didn't get to the question. Sometimes tinfoil hats take us into weird directions and don't leave us much time.
Like Ammon Thule as your HOA president.
Because that is 100% what he is. But if you do have questions for us, I do want to let you know that you can send those into podcast@blizzardwatch.com. We ask that you specify the show that it is for in the subject line, as well as any special pronunciation of your name. You can also hit us on Discord. We have the Q and Podcast question channel open for everybody. And if you are that Patreon subscriber, we have the Patreon Q and Podcast question channel set aside for you. That little extra bonus for helping us keep the lights on. And you can also send us direct messages through Patreon or leave us messages, which Liz will then get to us. And we will add to our repertoire of questions that we have banked for whatever themes we are doing that week. I do want to remind you that we are also on social media. We are Blizzard Watch on Instagram, Facebook, and Mastodon at gamepad.club. BlizzardWatch.com on Bluesky, Blizzard Watch podcasts on YouTube, at Blizzard.watch on TikTok, and be sure to follow us. I know that our editors go through our podcast and make all sorts of funny, they find the best bits or some of our most unhinged moments and put those into TikTok form, which if you just want a quick hit to get you through your day, you're having a really down day, and you want to hear me or Matt or any of us talk about the most random unhinged thing we can possibly think of involving Blizzard or whatever lore we're talking about at the time, that's going to be your key. We also, speaking of books, we talked about the Diablo book that come out, but there's also a ton of Warcraft books that have released, including the latest novel, Blood Ties. If you're looking for catching up on your lore, not only should you listen to Lore Watch, because we do a fantastic job of that, if I do say so myself, but we do have a book guide at blizzardwatch.com/Warcraft books, which tells you exactly what order and what type of books you should be reading if you want to get the bits of story that you care about them. I think I've covered everything there. Which I'm going to give us one last parting thing, which is a question from one of our wonderful listeners. And this is from Dai Kaiju. Am I the only person not asking for systems on top of my systems, which are already stacked on a couple other systems in Diablo? Just give me a good story. Let me smash demons and goblins for loot that doesn't require fake currency to look as good as the cash shop stuff. And let me play my main on the seasonal story content. I have feelings about this, but I'm going to turn it over to Phil first, then Liz, and then I'll give mine.
Diablo thoughts? I don't have those. No, I get why they're doing it, and I don't know. It's one of a couple different ways you can approach an action RPG, right? You can have something that's just kind of simple and plays good and has perfectly balanced systems, and then just they don't need to add more. But then there's Diablo, where Diablo has always had a big pile of mechanics on top of each other, and until Diablo 4, the story always kind of felt like an afterthought. The problem is now they've given people a hint of a good story, and then just told us we'd get more in seasons, and that has not really been true. And then I still do not know why we do not have a rebirth mechanic. Let us keep playing at least the same character from season to season, other than the fact that the Diablo 4 team is trapped in a basement and not allowed to talk to the Diablo 3 team to find out how it works. I don't know.
Diablo 3
Diablo
3 doesn't exist.
Diablo 3 is not real.
I do want to come in here with a little note. about our friend Diablo 3, which is that we are worried about you, and please let us know if you're okay.
You're alive.
Because, yes, I would like a proof of life, please. Because, we expected a new... We follow kind of the average season times, and we would have expected a new Diablo 3 season to start about now, and we have not actually heard anything about it. So... And also, Diablo 3 was the only Diablo game that did not get a mention in the Diablo roadmap. We haven't heard about a new season. It's a little sad. Diablo 3, for all of its failings, a really fun game that has pretty engaging seasons, which is a game Diablo 4 could learn a few lessons from, but has struggled with. So... if you're on the Diablo 3 team, let us know if you're okay. I'm a little concerned. I hope this game is still going to be a game.
Well, I mean, and do you have thoughts on the whole systems on systems in Diablo 4?
I think so. When Diablo 4 first launched, it was pretty system light. The end game, it didn't have a very developed end game. It had a great story. It had a great opening campaign that I think it's kind of fallen down on. But what it didn't have was a lot of end game systems and a lot to do once you hit max level, other than just keep killing the same things for gear. So they have been steadily adding systems. I think one of the things the game suffers from right now is that, as you say, they keep adding systems, but they'll add a system and then they'll change the system. Like, it feels like every season we have a big system rework, which involves some big changes. And it's, on one hand, this is great. The game is continuing to evolve and adapt and become its best self. I think it took about a year for Diablo 4 to go from its launch state to go into a really solid game that felt good to play at endgame. And they've continued iterating, but sometimes they do iterate kind of a lot. Diablo 4 is going to launch with a new system that lets you kind of design your own endgame.
Yeah.
I am completely blanking on what the system is called, but you can basically say, okay, I really like doing nightmare dungeons. And you can sort of set up a kind of rewards track that'll focus on doing nightmare dungeons, because one of the problems right now is, okay, I got to do nightmare dungeons to do these kind of things. I've got to do bosses to get these kind of things. I have to run Hell Tides to get these kind of things, and I have to run the Pit to get these other kind of things, and I have to do all of those things in order to progress my gear and to advance in the game. And, you may not enjoy doing every one of those things. So I think the game is overall going in a good direction, but it does sometimes just sort of rapidly change a little too much. It would be nice to have a little bit of stability. But honestly, the game is are we 2-3 years out on Diablo 4? We're at least 2 years.
Yeah, I think it might be 3.
I think we might be. We're going on 3.
3 years. June will mark 3 years. Yeah.
So even this far out, I still feel like the game is kind of trying to find itself, and to sort of define itself in this space, and which is a little sad. But it's working very hard on it. Sometimes working very hard on it is good. Sometimes it feels a little overwrought.
Yeah, my thought on it is, considering the success of Diablo 2, it feels like Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 were always chasing that by trying to stick too many things on the board. And the real thing is, Diablo 2's success was that it told a tight, compelling story for the characters in an action RPG, which was abnormal for the time. It had rewarding gameplay that, Staff of Jordan runs were a thing for a reason. And it had a positive feedback loop between doing damage, getting more powerful, being able to do things like make runs faster. Part of its success was player made because there weren't that many systems that you really had to worry about. There was PvP, there was ladder, and then there was how broken can I make my character to make a bail run as quickly as possible, right? And those made the game really fun and compelling. And then when Diablo 3 came out, they added so many things to it. And I'm not talking about the original release with the Cash Auction House, because that's just a nightmare of its own. but like they put so many things in, and then the seasons came out, and seasons were popular. They were actually a really good way to play Diablo. People really enjoyed it. That became core to the identity of Diablo 3. Then Diablo 4 released, and it's a hat on a hat on a hat. And I'm not saying that it's not fun, but it really is. Like, if you've ever played League of Legends and you play ARAM, there's a potion you can buy that puts a random hat on your character, and you're allowed to buy that potion multiple times. And every time you do, it puts another hat on top of the hat. And you can literally spend all of your gold to go, I think it's like 15 hats high. It might be 20 hats high. That's kind of what Diablo 4 feels like to me. And it's part of it is that I don't know why they're iterating as much as they are. And Liz's point of they're still trying to find themselves, I think is part of it. But also, you know how when you expect something to happen or you want something to happen and it doesn't happen in a time frame that you want, and instead of just sitting back and letting it mature a little bit to see if it catches, you then immediately change everything to see if it works that way. And it might have worked the other way, but you didn't give it enough time to breathe. That's kind of what it feels like with all the systems. Like, I feel we're at a part with Diablo 4 where it's time. And I think after 3 years, you've made enough tweaks. Let the things breathe a little bit and focus on making sure gameplay is tight and compelling, and maybe start giving quality of life stuff. Like, Daikaiju hits on the same thing that I have been yelling from the top of my lungs since the very first season in Diablo 4, which is also the reason I don't play Diablo until a new expansion comes out anymore. I play through the expansion and then I'm done. Is because seasonal content doesn't let me play my main character through it, or even offer me a rebirth selection, like Phil said, where I can have a seasonal character that I can have time to get acquainted to. Because that's the other thing. Like Diablo 2, when you were playing it, you were connected to your character. That was your character in a lot of ways. Like, my druid was my baby, and like I sought specific things out for them and like blinged them out and got the ancient weapons and the legendary armor and stuff like that. Like, I went out of my way to do that. You couldn't do that in Diablo 4 with the way things are presented. It's just not an option. So
and it didn't help that Diablo's 4 seasons started off with all the worst parts of just doing the same content over again, which okay, leveling up is cool. Like, maybe you've changed stuff around and, maybe leveling up again is cool. Maybe building a new set of legendary gear is cool. Re-earning points from finding altars or opening my waypoints again is not fun or interesting or compelling gameplay.
Yeah, it's not a satisfying loop.
No, and like when they threw us the tiniest bone of letting your altars of Lilith stay discovered in the base game, like that felt like such a huge step. But then it's like, all right, now how about you make me not have to rediscover the same waypoints every time again? How about I don't have to open every one of those strongholds again? It's just like, this is not, I don't know. I think there's ways to do content that can be redone like that, and I honestly think it would need to be more roguelike than it is in order to make that interesting or compelling. Like, they don't have that aspect of D4, and so it's just here, do the same thing again. But so you can get to our new, slightly confusing in-game system.
Yeah, I will say that if they were to do something like, I don't know, add more roguelike content to the dungeons and let me play a seasonal rebirth character or my main character in seasons, I would probably be playing it a heck of a lot more. Like, there's ways, they have everything they need, I think. They just have to, like, for lack of a better term,
leave all the pieces together.
Yeah, leave it in the oven a little bit longer before you change the recipe again, right? Like, you can do this. I believe in you.
Fingers crossed.
But I think that's going to do it for us today, friends. I do want to thank you for joining us. Please be sure to check out our other podcasts. Give us your thoughts, too, on how you're enjoying Midnight. Leave us those comments. Let us know in Discord. Join our community. It keeps growing strong. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what you think of Midnight. Let us know if you have opinions on Diablo 4. Love to hear them personally. But with that, friends, we'll see you next week.